It's book fair day, when every class gets to visit the book sale in the library. Dewey Booker can't wait. He loves reading more than bubblegum, baseball cards, and bike riding. In fact, when Dewey's nose isn't stuck in a book, he's dreaming about adding new books to his collection. But Mrs. Shepherd's class isn't scheduled to go to the book fair until the end of the day. Not wanting to miss all the good offerings, Dewey tries every which way to get into the fair early. Mrs. Shepherd always catches him, though. Will he make it before all the best books are taken? Well, let's find out when we read Book Fair Day by Lynn Plourde, illustrated by Thor Wickstrom. Book Fair Day was tomorrow, and everyone in Mrs. Shepherd's class was anxious to buy a new book or two at the book fair, especially Dewey Booker. Dewey loved books more than he loved bubblegum, baseball cards, and bike riding. In fact, when Dewey's nose wasn't stuck in a book, he was dreaming and scheming about adding new books to his collection. Biographies, fables, mysteries, oh my, fantasies, comics, histories, all mine. Dewey rose before the sun on Book Fair Day. He needed to leave his house extra early since he had to walk all the way to school. There wouldn't be enough room on the bus. As Mrs. Shepherd greeted her students, "Good morning," she collected all of their money envelopes and put them on her desk for safekeeping until the book fair. Dewey didn't have an envelope. He'd saved every single penny he'd earned in a special book bank. During morning circle time, Mrs. Shepherd explained, "Our class will be visiting the book fair in the library during the last half hour of the day. But to start our day, we're going to read to our kindergarten book buddies." Hooray! We have the best book buddies. I've got a really great story to read to my buddy this week. Groan. "What's wrong, Dewey?" asked Mrs. Shepherd. "I thought you liked book buddy time." "Oh, I do," said Dewey, getting down on his knees. "But please, 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 can't we go to the book fair earlier in the day? If we go last, there won't be any books left. Please." "Sorry, Dewey, but someone has to go last. This year, it's our turn. I'm sure there will be plenty of good books for everyone." Down in the kindergarten room, Dewey couldn't keep his mind on the book he was reading to his buddy. After losing his place for the 5th time, he asked, "What time is your class going to the book fair?" His buddy answered, "I can't tell time, but teacher says we're going right after book buddy time." Dewey's eyes grew big. "Really?" Then it was time for for Mrs. Shepherd's class to go back to their classroom and for the kindergartners to visit the book fair, Dewey got in line. It just wasn't exactly the right line. But just as he entered the library and reached toward the new dinosaur detective collection, he heard behind him. "Lose your way, Dewey?" asked Mrs. Shepherd. "Kinda," said Dewey. "I thought maybe there'd be a book of maps in here to help me find my way back." "I'll show you the way," said Mrs. Shepherd. "How'd you know I was here?" asked Dewey as they headed out the door. "I have my sources," said Mrs. Shepherd. Dewey looked back at the dinosaur detective collection and whispered, "I hope you won't be extinct by the time I come back." During recess, Dewey couldn't keep his mind on the ball. After getting bonked on the head for like the 10th time, he asked his friends, "Is that the library window?" "Think so, sure, yep," they all said. "I think a ball might have gone in there," said Dewey. "Help me up." Dewey's friends boosted him high enough so that he could peek in, and there on the book fair shelf was the new Amazing Explorer's Atlas. But just as Dewey reached for it, he heard beside him. "Lost again, Dewey?" asked Mrs. Shepherd. "Guess so," said Dewey. "But maybe that atlas would help." "I think maybe I could help," said Mrs. Shepherd. "Just follow me." "How'd you know I was here?" asked Dewey as he wriggled back out of the window. "I have my ways," said Mrs. Shepherd, wriggling herself out. Dewey took one last glance at the Amazing Explorer's Atlas and whispered, "I hope you won't be lost by the time I come back." After lunch, Mrs. Shepherd's class noticed that the door to the hamster cage was open and the cage was empty. "Yikes! Where'd Bucky go?" "Maybe he went looking for something to eat." "Hurry, everyone! Find Bucky!" All of Mrs. Shepherd's students skittered and scattered to find their furry friend. Dewey crawled down the hall, looking for tiny paw prints. As Dewey passed the 15th door in the hallway, he realized where he was. Dewey crawled into the library, and there, right before his nose, was the Private Eye series. But just as Dewey reached for the books, he heard above him. "Did you think Bucky was hiding in a book, Dewey?" asked Mrs. Shepherd. "No," answered Dewey. "But maybe if I knew how to spy, I could find him faster." "Not necessary," said Mrs. Shepherd. "We already did." "How'd you know I was here?" asked Dewey. "I have my secrets," said Mrs. Shepherd. As they left, Dewey gave one last longing look at the Private Eye series and whispered, "I hope you'll still be around to investigate by the time I come back." Finally, Mrs. Shepherd announced, "Class, it's time to visit the book fair." "Yippee! Let's go! Can't wait to see what they have this year." "I hope there'll be a few books left," groaned Dewey. Mrs. Shepherd passed the students' money back to them and told them to line up. Everyone elbowed and jostled to try to get next to Dewey. At the book fair, before Dewey could even open a single book, his classmates begged and pestered him. "Dewey, what do you think of these new fantasies?" "Dewey, have you read this book? Should I get it?" "Dewey, can you help me find a book I'd like?" "Dewey, what do you think of this author?" "Dewey, do you recommend this book for me?" "Dewey, Dewey, 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 Dewey." By the time Dewey had helped his 20th classmate, Mrs. Shepherd announced, "Okay, everyone, time to head back to our classroom to get ready to go home." Dewey was dumbstruck. "Oh no, but I haven't. There are no books left," he cried as he looked at all the bare book displays. Just then he heard, "Ahem, ahem, ahem," from underneath a table. Mr. Opus, the librarian, peeked his head out and asked, "Looking for these, Dewey?" "How did you know?" exclaimed Dewey when he saw the box filled with the Dinosaur Detectives collection, the Amazing Explorers Atlas, and the Private Eye series. "Let's just say we can read you like a book," said Mrs. Shepherd with a super-sized smile. Dewey had just enough money to buy all the new books he wanted. At the end of the day, Mrs. Shepherd hustled and bustled her students onto the bus. "Bye, see you tomorrow. Don't stay up too late reading your new books." Dewey reminded Mrs. Shepherd that he would be walking home today instead of taking the bus. She helped him load his book buggy and waved goodbye. Dewey hurried and scurried all the way home. He couldn't wait to get lost in all of his new books. This book is dedicated to all my librarian friends who put so much work into the decorations, building contests, etc., all in an effort to get new and exciting books into the hands of their students. Family and friends, when you buy books at the book fair, the librarian is then able to purchase new books for the school library. Thank you for listening to our story today. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Storytime with Lorelei, to see all the other books I have. I'm sure there is something for you to like. Bye for now.